Hello everybody and welcome back to Full House Sports here with myself, Charlie. Before the video starts, please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. Been loving the recent interaction on the videos. Love the sort of conversations that are happening. Right, this weekend is, I say the start of the Autumn Internationals. It's not, it's the second week of the Autumn Internationals, but it feels a bit like the start because everyone is playing this weekend rather than, well, I suppose Wales didn't play and France didn't play last weekend, so I'm using that as an excuse to start this. It's a great weekend of rugby union. I for one am buzzing for it. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think there's some great fixtures there, some plot lines to go into things, and I'm going to have a little bit of a preview of all the games, talk about some things that I find interesting, and so on and so forth. So, starting off with Ireland-Japan, because I think this is going to be the easiest one to preview. Japan were disappointing at the weekend, I thought, against South Africa. I say disappointed. Disappointed is probably a harsh word to use against Japan. They were comprehensively outplayed by the best team in the world. I don't hold very high hopes for them against Ireland at the weekend. Ireland, yes, they're coming off the back of that disappointing loss in Chicago. I do feel like this Autumn Internationals will tell us where Ireland are, because I feel like the Andy Farrell era, I feel like the Lions tour was the sign, was the clue. This now is maybe the conclusion that I think the great Ireland era that we've had these last few years potentially is coming to an end. You look at that front row, that front five of Ireland, to keep asking those guys to go to the well is quite hard, and I think it showed against New Zealand where fresher legs came on and the quality on the benches was chalk and cheese. Now, whether that's an issue within Irish rugby, I don't really know. I don't think that that's something that can be discussed in a preview. That's a video for another day, but they'll beat Japan, let's face it. But I think the games that are coming over these next few weeks will indicate to us where they are in terms of 2 years out from a World Cup, what maybe they need to do. Because, like I say, I think a lot of those guys now are struggling to keep going to the well. And if you keep asking them to go to the well, it's going to end in disappointment. I think they'll beat Japan comprehensively, though. I think they'll probably put 40 points on the Japanese. Like I say, Japan, low on confidence at the moment. Yeah, they're an awkward one, Japan, really, aren't they? They come to play. They're always entertaining. They're a great team in terms of their attitude, but just missing that little bit. Well, I say that little bit. They're missing a lot of quality. In Ireland, I think will comprehensively beat them, put 40 or 50 points on them. So that was a quick one because it's Ireland, Japan. We know that. I think England-Fiji at Twickenham is going to be Allianz Stadium, as it's now called. Woo! So I think England-Fiji is going to be fascinating. Steve Borthwick's made 7 changes. We've seen before in the Autumn Internationals that you can take the Fijians lightly at your own risk. The Fijians are a strong squad. Obviously, a lot of players now are playing in the Drua or in the top 14. They're a big side, which is why I'm fearful of the Marcus Smith pick at 15. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not going to lie. I feel like with Marcus Smith, the issue is he's a great individual talent. He's fantastic to watch, but you can't just keep shoehorning him into positions that aren't his best. And I saw a clip from when the last time Marcus Smith obviously played fullback, or not a clip, a picture of him the last time he played against the Fijians, and he looked like he'd been 15 rounds with Mike Tyson. So I'm fearful for him. I think England will scrape a win. I do, but I think it's going to be a real tough encounter. It's going to be big. It's going to be physical. Obviously, there's a lot of talk at the minute about the England bench, the POM squad, as they've been so eloquently nicknamed. I think that will be key against the Fijians, because we've seen in games before Fiji lose their discipline at the breakdown and lose their discipline later on in games with where they go. So I think it will be interesting to see what happens there. I think as well, it sometimes depends on which Fiji turns up, because if the Fiji turned up at the World Cup 2 years ago, or turned up in the game at Twickenham a couple of years ago when they beat England, they're in with a chance. If the Fiji turns up that played, say, Scotland last year in the Autumn Internationals, then England will probably thrash them. That's the brutalised truth. So I think it's dependent on which Fiji turns up as well. But I think England will just scrape a win in that. But it'll be very interesting to see. See Scotland play the All Blacks in the hoodoo. Can they break the curse? The All Blacks beat Ireland in Chicago, but I didn't think it was a great performance. I thought it was clunky at times, to be honest. And I think that's going to happen because they're in a transitional phase. Listen, Fabian Holland, for example, what a player he is. How good does he look? And that's the sort of player that they're bringing through. Leicester, I'm not going to even try and butcher his last name, coming off the bench. He was fantastic. He showed glimpses of the Leicester Fanganica, there you go, that he'd shown in France for 2 years. Direct ball carrying, making meters, offloading. That was the guy that we'd seen in France. We expected him to bring to the All Blacks, and it was great to see. So I do think this transition from the All Blacks, bringing through these guys, is great, is fantastic. And I think New Zealand are maybe going a little bit under the radar. A lot of people, I think, in Britain have said, oh, they're there for the taking, they're there for the taking. I think the All Blacks know that their ultimate aim is 2027. That's their aim. And they're not really fussed about going on big undefeated streaks or doing what they did when they were double champions. They're building, they're progressing. I still think they'll beat Scotland. No Van der Merwe for Scotland. That's an interesting selection point. Still, they're a strong side. 7 British and Irish Lions returning for the Scots. That'll be huge for them, for confidence. They were great against the USA. I mean, were they great or were the USA just diabolical? That's a debate to be had in itself. I just don't think they're going to end the curse. I think the All Blacks are going to... I think what I see happening is tight game and then the All Blacks quality comes off the bench and they pull away. That's my prediction on that one. Now, Wales, Argentina. Welsh rugby is in crisis. I'm going to do a video talking about it soon because what's happening? When I was growing up with Gatland and the greats of Wales, I mean, what an era they had. You could name the 15 off the top of your head and go, some of the names you go, wow. Sam Warburton, Alan Wynne-Jones, Talupi Faletau, Shane Williams, Stephen Jones, James Hook, Lee Halfpenny, Alex Cuthbert, George North, all these names just roll off the tongue. How they could do with some of them now. And I'd love the Welsh to get a win because Welsh rugby needs an uplift at the minute. It really does. And they're such a proud rugby nation that it's a shame to see where they are. It's a shame to see their downfall. But Argentina look good in the Rugby Championship and they're a team that travels well. They showed that early on against the Lions this year. They've shown that as well in other places, going to New Zealand, getting a result. They do travel well. And I think they'll believe that Wales are there for the taking. Sorry, Wales fans, I think that this will be an Argentina win, and I think a comfortable Argentina win, to be honest with you. It's a shame for Welsh rugby. Something needs sorting there. Something needs sorting. I think Argentina will win that one. Now, there's one that I've purposely left till last because it feels like the main course. It feels like the big one. France, South Africa. They meet again 2 years on from that one night in Paris. The best quarterfinal probably in Rugby World Cup history. They meet again. South Africa dominant last week at a half-empty Wembley, it should be said. Half-empty might be generous, but I don't think that was actually the Boks' fault. I think that was the fault of scheduling. Whoever decided to put it that weekend with the Barbars playing the All Blacks, with England playing Australia, then England Rugby League playing Australia. Awful scheduling, not thought through. But South Africa looked good. They looked like a team that were just, the juggernaut was rolling on. France didn't play, obviously, last week. They were a big miss. They didn't play. The top 14 was still going on, but they did win the Six Nations earlier this year. I think with France at the moment, I was speaking to someone at work earlier, and my worry for France this game is, are they going to be caught cold? A lot of them haven't played international rugby since the Six Nations. It's worth remembering they didn't take a full-strength squad to New Zealand because of the top 14 playoffs. So a lot of those guys haven't played together. Now, listen, they're some of the best international players in world rugby. They're not going to be dropping passes or anything, but I just wonder if that intensity, the top 14 is a great league, so I could be completely wrong, but I wonder whether that intensity, that sharpness is not necessarily going to be there because the Boks have it. The Boks feels like a club side, let's be real. It feels like they've not been that long stopped playing the Rugby Championship, and now they're back into it. It was October 4th, their last game against Argentina at the Allianz Stadium. They've come in against Japan. Now they're playing France. I feel like they're warming up. They're like a club side. They understand the combinations. They understand everything. It'll be a red hot atmosphere at the Stade de France. It's going to be fantastic to see. I think it's again going to be a great game. A high scoring affair. Brutal. It's going to be the best international rugby can offer, and that's going to be fantastic. Oh, if I had to go South Africa, I think the juggernaut will just scrape through. A tight win. And I think that lack of max sharpness combined with the bomb squad coming off the bench, I think South Africa will scrape a win. Worth remembering, a little side note, Australia go to Udine to play Italy. It's also really important, this international window, because obviously they're affecting the world rankings. The seeding for the World Cup is being done after these rankings. So Australia will be hoping either Wales or Scotland could do a number on Argentina and they could get in that top 6 and get in the seedings ready for their home World Cup. But I don't think they're going to get it for the Welsh, as I've said earlier. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for interacting. Please always like, subscribe, comment. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. Loving it at the moment. Loving doing this. So please continue to help me. Have a great day. Thank you.